Hello everybody and welcome into my latest live feed. It is Friday. It is April the 26th. Is that right? That's what it says. It says it's the 26th. That means yesterday had to have been the 25th, huh? I'm a genius. Welcome in and getting a little bit of an early start to make sure I have audio and video configured well. So please let me know if things are in sync. And in the meantime, let me say hello to our folks that are in the chat room early. Al-Haj Tepej, Jesse Kirk, John Feinor, William Dawson, Magnum, Ray Sudbury. Magnum contributed $5, very first contribution of the stream. Thank you so much, Magnum. And Jesse Kirk gave a generous donation yesterday, and thank you to Jesse for that. Robert Cronin, Zatuna Lane, and Patrick Rusaw, Dayfoot, John, Harry, Bendicure, Tony Wallow, Patrick, Manny, Thomas, Carter, Joseph Neal, Tim D, Dusan Packler. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. Rudiger Luthi just contributed $5.55. He says, greetings, Carey, Wrenches, and chat room from Stormy, Virginia. Right on. Thank you so much. Boy, it's whatever I got, it's in my chest. So I got a couple things going on today. Customer's got a brand new Dell computer and didn't even take it out of the box. He said, here's my old computer, here's my new one, please transfer my data. I've got a product key, I just purchased Office, please install it for me and activate it. And I just realized this brand new computer has a mechanical drive and his old one has an SSD. So I think I'm gonna swap those out. But first I wanna make sure Windows 10 gets all the updates. It says it's getting updates to 1803. And after that, we'll install 1809. So that's going to be a while running in the background. I'm not going to focus much on that today. Instead, I've got an ASUS desktop computer here. This is a, what is it called? A CM, well, the model number's there in the title, isn't it? It's a CM6830. Essentio is the model. And this customer had a problem with it, and they bought a new power supply and a new hard drive. Unfortunately, they did not buy a solid state drive. And then after they hooked it up, they couldn't get it to work. I talked with them on the phone a little bit, and it was a little difficult. Person's not a computer person, you know, and it's much easier if I have them here and I can show them and explain things in person than to try and work online over Skype and things like that. But we did try. And I've been so busy, I just haven't had a whole lot of time to follow up with them. And I just said, look, just put it in the mail to me and let me take a look at it here. So it just arrived a few minutes ago. And one of the things I'm seeing that I don't like now are all these wire ties that are left in. Remember, you do not want to leave these in a computer. They have wire in them and they can short out. He's got lots of them in here, and every one of them's got to come out. Looks like he's bought a power supply here I've never heard of, a Power Spec. I don't know what that is, but it is 80 plus bronze certified, so it must not be too terrible. I imagine he went to a local store to buy that. And this computer comes out of Denver, so I'm wearing my Colorado shirt. See how I did that? And Hal Hatch is posted a link from ASUS on this tower computer. Apparently, this gentleman also took the computer to the retail store to have their tech look at it, and they could not get Windows 10 to install. I tried to get him to install Memtest 86, you know, to create the USB and boot to it, and we just had lots of communication errors. Like when I told him to unplug everything from the computer, except the keyboard, mouse, monitor, and power, somehow he misconstrued that and didn't plug in the monitor and just was saying nothing was happening. So that took a little while for us to figure out where that disconnection was in our communication. And again, the gentleman who owns this is 80 years old. It's not like he's grown up with computers, and I think it's fantastic that he gave it a shot and did the best he could. And I have no doubt that if I had more time, I could have walked him through everything, but I just don't have the time. And the only other way was for me to drive out there. So what I'm doing now is I'm just getting all these SATA cables out, and I'm trying to untangle all these power cables so I can see what we're working with here. because I also think that when you install this stuff, you should try and get your cables all untangled prior to plugging them in. And there'll be plenty here that he's not going to use that can get tied up and put away. And he used one cable on each device. He probably could have used one cable for all 3 devices and tied up the spares. It's little stuff like that. But again, if you've never worked on a computer before, a lot of people don't even have the guts to try. So kudos to him for, for trying. And he did get the parts installed correctly, and I think that's an important thing to note, that the power supply, although it's missing a couple of screws, he's got it in correctly. And the hard drive, he's got that in correctly. I do recommend a solid-state drive for what they cost. It'll make a huge performance increase with the computer. And then he's got some kind of card down here. I don't know what that is for. Looks like a, geez, I don't even know what that is. Something weird. So I think I'm going to just take that out of there because I don't know what it is. Well, you know what? No, I'll leave it in for right now. So what I want to do, I just want to hook up the hard drive and nothing else. So let me just grab a SATA cable and we'll plug into the hard drive and then down onto the SATA controller on the board down here. Not quite sure. I'm gonna guess, and I'll pick this one here in the middle. I just don't know. It should be one end or the other, now that I think about it. Probably should be there. Doesn't really make that big of a difference. My OCD likes to plug drive 1 into SATA port 1, and I can't tell which SATA port is number 1 on here. But we'll know soon enough. And then let me just give the hard disk drive some power, and then we can fire this thing up and see what it does. There could be something wrong with it, so it may be that he did everything correctly, and that there's another underlying issue that was misdiagnosed as a bad drive, or whatever caused the bad drive could have also caused these other problems. So I'm going to just get rid of this stuff here. Let's just dump that stuff. And let's grab a HDMI cable and let's get this plugged in to their built-in video right there. I need power, which I have right here. This is going to be fun to work on with this backwards configuration. Is it backwards? No, I normally have it on the other side of the counter, that's why. So, keyboard and mouse, let me get that plugged in. He did send it with a keyboard and mouse dongle. You guys need to remember to remove this stuff whenever you send a computer in for repair or ship a computer, because that's the kind of stuff that the company will forget to give you back. All right, let's see if it works. Let's flip the switch on the power supply to on and hit the power button. Fan is turning inside. Let's flip over to the input. That's a good start. As media controller, interesting. So let's do this. Let's do, well, it looks like he tried to install Windows 10. Let's go in that BIOS and see what it says. Looks like a typical ASUS BIOS. It's in easy mode. How do I get to advanced? Right there, advanced mode. Oh, wrong mouse, Carey. Advanced mode. Okay. Wow, that is just not working well for me. SATA configuration. Should be in AHCI mode. Glad I checked that. Oh, that's fine. I think this as media controller can be disabled. I don't want to use it because it loads the firmware at startup that slows the machine down as it waits to check it. So I'm not going to use that controller. And the boot option is good. That boot option can be disabled. And then let's save the changes in reset. And let me grab a Windows 10 flash drive and let's see if we can get Windows 10 installed on this thing. So here's my flash drive with Windows 10 on it. This is interesting that he seems to have Windows 10 installed, but he says it crashes or it won't load completely. So let's just see what's going on. See, a problem like that would have been very difficult to walk him through the BIOS remotely, even with a phone camera. It would have been very time consuming. That may have been the problem, that he had it in IDE mode instead of AHCI mode, and that even the person at the store he brought it to could not figure it out. On the other hand, we do have a black screen, and that's not a good start. But I don't trust that installation anyway, even if this comes up to the desktop. Not comfortable with not knowing how it was installed or what options were selected during the install. So I'm going to go ahead and put the Windows 10 installation media in. We'll cut the power to the device. Plug it into one of the blue USB ports back here. Let's turn it back on. And then I'm going to go back into the BIOS one more time. And I'm going to have it boot from the USB flash drive instead of from that hard drive, since that hard drive does not have a good install of Windows 10 on it. So that's what I want, the UEFI SanDisk Extreme. That's my flash drive. And that's going to begin the Windows 10 installation process. And then let me see how Windows 10 is doing over here on the laptop back here. Still installing 1803. I'm going to click Next on that. Install now. Does he have Windows 10 Home or Pro on here? That is the question. I'm not sure. Let's see what the sticker says on the case. Sticker says Windows 7 Home Premium. So Windows 10 Home Premium will activate with that Windows 7 Home Premium product key. So we'll do, well, there's no Home Premium. There's just Home or Pro on Windows 10. So here we just say I don't have a product key. And then we're going to choose Windows 10 Home and hit Next. And when it comes up to the drive, we're going to completely erase this hard drive. There's absolutely nothing on it that we need. I think he said he replaced it. Pretty sure. Now I'm nervous, because I didn't check it. There could be stuff on there. Let me think about this for a minute. Pretty sure he had a bad hard drive and he replaced it. Yeah, that's a new hard drive. I know he did. So we'll hit Next and Custom. Yeah, and there's only 2 partitions, which means it was not set up in UEFI mode. So we're going to delete both of those partitions. And now the drive is completely wiped. Oh, it's a 2 terabyte drive. Okay. And then hit Next. And now Microsoft Windows will partition and format and install Windows on that drive. It'll create like 4 partitions, I believe. A couple of contributions just came in, so let me give a quick shout out to those generous folks. Thank you to RJ Rick 254, who's contributed $20. He says, I help my friends and family, but I always say I know enough to be dangerous, and thanks to you, I'm even more dangerous. Thank you for that. Nah, you're not dangerous. You're safer now. And let's see. Safer and braver. Yeah. And newcomer 8771 contributed $5. He says, you gave me the confidence to start my own computer repair business. Thanks for all the help. Right on. I love messages like that. Makes my day. So thank you guys for contributing to the channel. And then let's see how we doing here. We're at 69% on that install, and going through the Windows 10 install is ticking along as it should. Shlomo F says, hello from Israel. Love you here. Right on. Thank you, Shlomo. Do you recommend UEFI mode for Windows 10? Of course. Didn't you just see me do that in the BIOS? Why would I do that if I didn't recommend it? Bill Leatherton, welcome in, Bill. And Rich Robbins, hello, guys. Brian Irwin says hello. Your Silverstone clicking is loud, so close to your mic. That's not a Silverstone, that's a SanDisk USB flash drive. It's my fidget device. I like to fidget with it. Kelly Stewart saying hello. And the Great Dane, Bill Thomas, Luke Greeny, and Mark Baggett, Zen Carter, Pete Unwin. Welcome in, guys. Vern Mahoney. Gary Whitaker. Welcome in, everybody. Wesley Oliver says, I just upgraded to an SSD. Wow, what a difference. Yeah. Yeah, I was a little disappointed when he told me he got the hard drive instead of the solid state drive. But he also said that the speed wasn't really that important to him. But I've never had anybody complain their computer was too fast. John says, I'm running a Mugen 5 on a 9900K with decent results. Yeah, I think I ended up using a Mugen 5 on a 9900K in the past. Russ Martin has contributed $10. And he says, I've ordered a Mugen and a new EVGA 650 watt, 80 plus gold modular power supply. And he's going to transplant his motherboard from a 100R case to the larger 200R. Right on. That 100R case is just crap. Same with that Spec 07 or whatever it's called, Spec 06. It's just a race to the bottom. I'd love to meet the department managers at Corsair and ask them what the hell you're thinking, trying to grab these low budget cases with very little profit margin while at the same time diluting the value of the quality of your brand name just to make a few extra pennies. It's not worth it. Stay in the mid and upper range case designs and let the cheap manufacturers make those cheap cases, and when people are ready, they graduate to your product. If I see Rolex release a $10 watch, I'm never ever going to consider them ever again. If Ferrari makes a $20,000 car, not interested anymore. There's a certain level of quality that we've come to expect from certain manufacturers. And when manufacturers decide that money's more important than their reputation, I think it's a huge error in judgment, and the people in charge that are making these decisions should be replaced as soon as possible. And I would hire somebody cheaper than they are. Whatever they're getting paid, I would do the exact opposite. Build high quality products and hire people that you can get cheaper than the people you've got now. And then you'll see your bottom line in your company go up, as well as the customer satisfaction go up. That's my opinion. The people that make that decision should have the same decision applied to them. That's all I'm saying. If they want to cut corners and get a race to the bottom, then the company should cut corners with them and race to the bottom for employees to replace them with. And if they're not willing to do that, they shouldn't be willing to do the other. Colin Hunt has contributed £2. Thank you, Colin. Carey, do we need to have insurance if you repair a computer from home? I guess. I mean, it's up to you. If you want to get sued and lose your house, then don't get the insurance. If you don't own your house and you don't own anything, then I guess they can sue you and they'll get nothing because you have nothing. But if you have stuff and you want to keep your stuff, then you get insurance. Insurance is for people who want to keep their stuff, right? So let's say you're a renter and you don't own a home. You can get renter's insurance that covers your belongings, but doesn't cover the house, if the house burns down, let's say. If you're driving around a 25-year-old car, you have to have insurance in case of the damages you caused to somebody else's property or person. And in that case, it's required by law here in the United States. In all of the states, you cannot drive without having that financial responsibility to any damage you may cause to others or their property. That being said, when you run a business, the same applies. If you don't own a home and you don't really have a nice car and you have nothing to take, you're insuring nothing because basically they can sue you all day long and you can't squeeze blood from a stone. You don't have anything to give them when they win. So insurance is for people who have nice things and want to keep those nice things. That's all. That's all insurance is. What year is my Mustang? 2013. What's up, Lyle? What's going on out there, boy? Squirrels. Okay, here we go with our first boot to the desktops, if it's going to load. So this is what we saw on the previous install, that when it goes to boot to the desktop, we get a black screen, and this may be addressed with a BIOS update. It's usually a video driver issue that would cause a symptom like this. And that's assuming it's done loading. I just want to give it a couple minutes here to just see if it figures out what's going on and addresses it. And with the system turned like it is, I can't see the hard drive activity light to see if it's doing anything. I can't even tell if this has a hard drive activity light. I don't see a power LED. I see no LEDs on the system at all that indicates that it's on or that it's doing anything. That's a huge disappointment coming from ASUS. Maybe they're there and I'm not seeing them? Or not. We definitely don't have any video happening right now. So let me check the product page to see what the latest BIOS is. I know somebody had posted that earlier. I wonder if it's still in the chat room. Nope. All right, so I'll just do it manually. We'll do ASUS Essentio CM, what did I say it was? 6830. 6830. And then we'll go to support. Wow, this looks just like the motherboard support page for ASUS. Let's see, drivers and tools. BIOS version is 0904. Now, I don't know what BIOS version I've got now, but I'm going to go ahead and grab 0904 and extract it to my BIOS flash drive. Extract, browse, flash drive, select, extract. Thank you. And close that, close that. Let's go back to the YouTube page. We'll bring you back up on full screen here. And what I'm going to do is just cut the power to this. I'm going to remove this flash drive. That's my Windows 10 install media. And let's take the other flash drive that I just put the BIOS on. Unplug it from the streaming computer. We'll plug it in back here. Any of these ports should work just fine. Flip the switch back on, turn this back on, and then we're going to go back into the BIOS. And let's see, was it F7 that gets me to advanced mode? Should be tools, easy flash utility. No. This mouse just does not want to work in the BIOS for some reason. It doesn't like it. So I'll do it the old-fashioned way. Not seeing any BIOS. It says I'm running 3602. I don't recall seeing that as an option in previous BIOS. 3602, because I'm at 0904. That's a completely different BIOS naming convention. I think I have the wrong BIOS for this. Let's see. CM6830. Am I on the right page? CM6830 says the BIOS version I've got is version 3602. There was a 3903, but I don't see a 3602 offered at all. If I don't see the previous, if I don't see the version of the BIOS it has now offered as a previous download on the BIOS update page, that suggests to me that I am not on the right support page. So let me get the glasses and read the back of the computer and see if there's a more specific model number that might point us to where I need to be. It's CM6830, which is what I've pulled up here. This BIOS is for the latest Windows 8 ready model only. If your BIOS file is .rom, please do not upgrade your BIOS to this version or other .cap. Great, well, how does that help me? This is a little bit of a puzzle now. Let's go back to support, consumer. We'll search for CM6830. CM6830. There are two different versions of the CM6830, and they use two different BIOSes. The CM6830 Win8 Ready has a .cap extension. If you check more of the posted BIOS files, there is also a CM6830 4101. That makes more sense, with a .rom extension. And that should be for all or most of the CM6830 units shipped with Windows 7. All right, that's what I needed. That's exactly what I needed. So let me go back to the support page. See all downloads. There is a 0401, there's a 0507, there's a 0902, and a 0904. Huh. It doesn't tell me which one is which. Let's try 0704, and let's see if that's a .cap or a .rom file inside of it. That's a cap file, so that's not the right file. We'll try 0507. I've never seen a manufacturer use the same model number on two completely different boards. That's one of the dumbest things I think ASUS could have done. Is there a limit of how many letters and numbers they can use? Why do you have to reuse the same ones? You can't put another number after it? Okay, so this has it here. And this is, I'm not even sure what it is anymore. I've pulled so many of these. Let me turn this back off. Let's go back over here and plug the flash drive in. And let's extract that file to the flash drive. So that is BIOS 4101, which appears to be the latest, and it is newer than what is on there. And it may resolve this particular issue. Let's go back and plug this back in. Flip the switch back on, turn this back on, and we'll hit delete. Let's take a look. BIOS version. And let's take a look here. We'll go to, which mouse? F7, advanced mode, flash utility. There's our BIOS right there. Now that says it's for a 6630. We've got a 6830. Let's see what happens. It should tell us if the BIOS is compatible or not. Because I am on the 6830 support page. Here we go. No turning back now. .4101 is the only latest BIOS. There is no 4102. After 4101, it then moves into the 0507, which is going to be a .cap file, and everything above that is a .cap. And that's just not going to work for us. So Stephen Bernstein stopped in. Hello, Stephen. Okay, update successful. Shows the latest BIOS is 4802. I don't know if that's the board we have in here or not. Let's see. Yeah, it is a P8 H61M Pro, but that's the latest BIOS offered for the desktop, not necessarily for the board. So let's run F1 to get into setup again, and F7 to get into advanced. And let's go back to SATA config. We want to be in AHCI mode. Why that's defaulting to IDE is really annoying. Onboard devices, want to turn that as media controller off because it's annoying. The as media USB controller can stay, that's fine. And let's save changes and reset. And let's see if Windows loads to the desktop. Might have to reinstall Windows again. Update the same BIOS version again to complete the update BIOS. It just says when updating BIOS, use ASUS update in the OS. What? What BIOS are we on? It says 4101. What that was all about. If someone has a link to that latest BIOS, please post that link in the chat room. It's got to be somebody in blue that does it, though, because it won't allow links from anybody else. Could it be the CR2032 motherboard battery? Quite possible. A system this old could very well need a battery. You should definitely check that. Wrong keyboard, Carey. That is taking an awfully long time, isn't it? Yeah, it does show 4802 is available for this system. So let me grab 4802, grab that flash drive, plug it back into the streamer. I've downloaded more BIOSes for this motherboard than I have for the last 4 I've already done. All right, let's try that. Extract it. Here we go. Yeah, imagine trying to help this customer who's not computer savvy go through this process when I'm having a difficult time myself. This is very unusual. This is not typical. Now, of course, the system's still not booting correctly, so we're just going to go ahead and shut it down. I'm going to put the flash drive back in, and we're going to update to that latest BIOS version for the motherboard that's installed. Based on your suggestions, we'll give that a shot. It seems like a good plan to me. There shouldn't be anything specifically different about the board simply because ASUS has packaged it into a case. Still should be the same board you would buy and use. Let's see if we can get back in the BIOS here. see, F7, advanced. Flash utility, enter, enter. Wait a minute. I got nothing. Switch it back off one more time. I'm going to disconnect the hard drive while I do this because I don't want it to boot to the hard drive. That might make my life a little easier. Lurchicus has contributed $5. He says, here's a Coke for Carey and a cookie for the dogs. Right on, Lurchicus. Thank you. All right, let's see. Well, that's worse than it was. Now it's seeing nothing at all. Let's try switching this to a different USB port. There it is, 4802. Image integrity check failed, so it doesn't like 4802. Let me go back and see what else we have to choose from. Let me download 4802 one more time. It's a very small BIOS. It's only 3 megs. Seems awfully tiny. Four megs. And let's try one more time just to see if that's going to work. It definitely does not like that at all. So maybe I'll try an earlier BIOS. Something about it does not like. P8H61M Pro. Am I on the right board? P8H61M Pro. That's an interesting turn of events. Then there's 4702. Could try 4702 just to see. This may not be the same motherboard. This may be a completely different identifier on this board since they built it as a desktop. It's possible. But I'll try this one last one, which is 4702, and we'll see if we have any luck with that version. So I've got 4702 on here now. Plug it back into there. Yeah, it's not liking that. It's not liking that one bit. So I have got to use whatever version that was designed for this desktop. They've obviously got something in there that's preventing it from loading correctly. So let me just look at my downloads. And I've got these all downloaded now. If I can figure out which one's which, that would be helpful. So I think we're at 4101 if I'm not mistaken. That was the one that worked. All right, so this is the one I've already flashed once before, but the BIOS keeps coming up, or when you turn the computer on, it says to complete it, you've got to do it again, which I don't understand. And then it wants you to do it through the OS, but the OS doesn't load, so that's not very helpful now, is it? So it likes that. Yeah, any BIOS that starts with the number 0 is for a different version of this system, which I've already read aloud. So please do not recommend BIOSes that start with the number 0. They are not compatible. Thank you. Michael Dane has sent me a BIOS update to version 4002, which is older than what I've got. I've got 4101, which is newer. I'm not getting anything out of this system. Did it shut off? What's it doing? It shut off. All right, let's turn it back on. Oh, let me plug the hard drive back in. Let's see. F1 to run setup. We'll go back through this again. We're on 4101. That looks right. 8 gigs of RAM. That's good. Good. It's good. Just disable that. looks good. Save changes and reset. I may need to do a clean install of Windows now with the new BIOS in it for it to boot properly. I'll give it this one last chance, and then if it doesn't come to the desktop, I will just do a clean install one more time. Oh, something's happening. Or did it just reboot itself? Okay, I'm not getting a good feeling about that. So I think I'm going to just go ahead and do a clean install of Windows 10 because I think that'll take less time than whatever this is doing. So we'll shut it off. Plug in the flash drive for Windows 10. Turn this back on, fire this back up. I want to temporarily go back into the BIOS by hitting delete. And I want to go over to the boot section. There should be a boot override, and I want that right there. And that should start booting from my flash drive. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and delete the old BIOS off of this flash drive so it'll be blank again and ready for me to use for the next system. There we go. And we go through all this one more time. I'm deleting all the partitions on the drive so that we have no partitions left. That completely erases the entire drive like it's brand new. And I hit next and let Windows 10 recreate those 4 partitions, reformat them, and then go ahead and install Windows 10. And let's see if that makes any difference or not. In the meantime, I think I need a Coke. That's what I need. So I have my very cool Coca-Cola bottle opener that I found on eBay. And it works. Cheers. Now, let's hope Windows 10 works. Why am I installing Windows 10 Home? Because this computer came with Windows 7 Home, and it's a free upgrade to Windows 10 Home. It is not a free upgrade to Windows 10 Pro. So unless you want to part with $150 for no benefit whatsoever, probably should stick with the version that came with your system for the free upgrade. All right, well, let's just see what happens here. We're about 99% done of getting the files ready to install. Going to do our first reboot now, and it's going to start from the hard drive with the Windows 10 install. See if we have any better luck this time around. Everything's normal so far. See how my laptop's doing. Well, not mine, but this customer's laptop. Still installing. Haven't missed anything happening over there. Sure, it's taking a long time. Desmond wants everybody to know that deleting a file or a partition does not remove the data from a hard drive. This is the difference between talking to a nerd and talking to a normal person. When you talk to a normal person, if they delete a file or a partition, their data, as far as they are concerned, is completely gone. And without the special knowledge and skills it takes to retrieve that data back, it's gone. You have to be very careful on how you talk to different people of different walks of life, because conveying that kind of information can be highly inaccurate depending on the person you're speaking to. And as such, I would warn all of you against following advice on the internet like that. If you're just an average home user and you delete a partition, your data is gone. And unless you have another system and you can remove that drive, because the minute you turn that drive back on and use it in any way, shape, or form, it will overwrite where the data existed or where some of the data existed, depending on how much data you had and how much data you're writing to the drive, like reinstalling Windows 10 so you can put your data recovery software on for example, would then erase your ability to retrieve much of your data in most cases. So the drive would have to be removed and it would have to be put into another machine, and special software would have to be used to attempt to recover those files. And even then the recovery is not guaranteed. In many cases the file names are lost and you'll end up with a bunch of files that you have to pick through manually and rename or delete. It's a real pain in the butt. But for all intents and purposes, for regular folks, deleting a file or a partition is as good as getting rid of the file. If you're worried about somebody being able to recover the data professionally, then yes, it is possible for the data to be recovered professionally. But that being said, that's true of practically any way of erasing a hard drive short of destroying it with a hammer or a tool that completely destroys the drive. Any drive that spins, theoretically, it's possible to retrieve some data off of it regardless of what you think you've done. So, you know, again, it just kind of depends on who you're talking to with regards to, you know, how they define data rescue versus data recovery. But the bottom line is, if the data is that important, you will want to destroy the drive. You want to physically destroy the media. That's the only guarantee that it won't be recovered. So what is it doing? Just got a blank screen. So it's actually sending out a blank screen. Remember, if the video capture card doesn't have a signal, I get that rainbow, those color bars that says no signal. So it's receiving a signal. So if the computer had gone to sleep, we'd get the no signal on the screen. So that's clearly not the problem here. So there's something else happening. Now there's a couple different ways to fix this. First of all, we want to make sure we don't have any bad RAM in the machine, because that can cause this type of a symptom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run memtest86 on this. I've got a short quick tips video that shows you how to create your own bootable flash drive with memtest86 completely for free. And we're going to just see if this memory passes. And I'm going to disconnect the hard drive because I don't want it to boot to anything but that flash drive. And let's make sure the RAM is okay. If the RAM is okay, the next step would be to just put a graphics card in there. You know what, let me go into the BIOS and just choose the boot override on this. There we go. So let's see what results we get from the RAM here. Brian says he just purchased Uncle Carey's Windows 10 Optimizer. Thank you for this nice app. Ooh, excuse me. Well, thanks, Brian. I hope you enjoy it. But we're off to a good start. We're already on test 5 with no errors so far. And test 6 and no errors. Desmond Bradley really should not be giving out advice about zeroing out a hard drive because there's something called data shadows, and data shadows will actually pick up the data that resided beneath the data. And it's, I strongly advise you guys, don't take advice from anybody about data destruction on the internet, because if you're doing something where that data gets out because you were under the false assumption what you were told online is true, and you go to jail over it, those people who gave you that advice will not be there to bail you out of jail or defend you in a court of law. I have to tell you again, if you absolutely need the data destroyed, you must destroy the media. There's no possible way to guarantee that the tools don't exist at very high levels of government to retrieve the data. It's been rumored they can go back, at least for one data shadow back, but I don't know. That's all kept very highly secretive, so I don't have all the information on that. But you know, Scott Moulton, who runs a service called My Hard Drive Died, does forensic data recovery, and you can listen to his free podcast at podnuts.com, and you can learn more from an expert who's actually hired in court cases to testify for or against people regarding what was found on their hard drives. And in many cases, those people thought they securely erased them, and Brian was able to get enough back to prosecute. So my advice to Desmond is to stop telling people how they can erase their data, because you may be causing more harm than good. The only acceptable way to destroy data off of a storage is to destroy the storage. That's it. That's the bottom line. And anybody who says anything otherwise is not going to be there to bail you out of jail or defend you in a court of law. Remember that. Just depends on who's doing the data recovery. You know, is it the shop down at the corner or is it the government? It's two different levels of data recovery, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, federal workers who deal with classified data, they often have a laptop that has an X marked on the bottom of it. And they're instructed to shoot the laptop with a firearm where that X is. And that's to pull a bullet through the storage so that nothing can be recovered. That is official United States government doctrine. Not to use any software to wipe it. It's real fast. Carey, is it worth installing a solid state drive into the machine and just to try it? Yeah, it's certainly worth trying, but I want to just make sure the RAM's okay first. We're on test 8. So far, so good. I'm going to remove somebody from the chat who was advising people to reset memory while the computer's running. That would be like sticking your finger in an electrical outlet, and that kind of device is very dangerous and not welcome here. So I do want to advise people, everybody who's joined us in the chat has the ability to turn on their webcam or use their cell phone camera to create their own YouTube channel. So if you know how to do this more than I do, I'm not stopping you from putting a computer up on your counter, turning on your camera, going live, and doing what I do. If you know more than I do, please do that. You know, the internet needs more real life working people showing how they do their jobs. And there's nothing more grounding than making yourself look like a fool in front of people that can be played back and shared. Just ask The Verge. They thought they knew everything too. But got to be very, very careful when you're giving advice to people dealing with voltages and things where people can get injured or can cause harm to hundreds or thousands of dollars worth of equipment. Will you remain anonymous and completely at fault for it? So again, I've got to strongly advise you to be very cautious over who you listen to on the internet. It's much different than if you're in a classroom environment and you're being properly instructed. And that's what I consider my channel to be. But do understand that even the information I convey here on my channel, I don't know that you're fully understanding it. And I don't know that there may be a misunderstanding that you might have. So always accept full responsibility. If you choose to repeat anything you see online, you do so with the full acceptance and responsibility of the consequences of your actions. So we're on test 9, we're just about done. This RAM is looking really good. It's moving on to test 10 now, and oh, I'm looking at a delayed feed. I might be further along than I think. Yeah, still on test 10, very good. Okay, so I think it's about to, so it sits for 3 minutes and then it continues that test. But I can grab an older graphics card here just to see, because I think we're having a graphics card issue. I don't need anything fancy for him. What do I have that's basic? I don't have anything basic anymore. Everything's fancy. All right, well, we'll just grab this one. This is the cheapest card I've got, this 550 Ti. We'll throw that in there, see if that makes a difference. So what I'm gonna do, I'm pretty confident this RAM is okay. I mean, I should let it run all the way through, but I got a feeling it's gonna be just fine. So what I will do is put this graphics card in there. Let's get you switched over to the big camera. And let's pull power. And I need my driver. How are we doing over here? Still updating. It's riveting. I don't know what this card is, but I am taking it out. I think this is something for sound. Oh, maybe this is Wi-Fi. A single antenna Wi-Fi. Still taking it out. And let's knock out, let's see, we got a couple of items here that can come out. Geez, I just bent the whole thing. Nice quality there, ASUS. All right, That's not going to work. I need some pliers. Needle nose pliers ought to do the job here. Throw this 550 Ti in here. And this power supply has the cable for it, which he didn't even know he bought a power supply that could power an external graphics card or a discrete graphics card, and yet he bought one. So let's use it. And now let's move this. Let's see, I got to plug it into DVI, so I need an adapter for that. Here we go. HDMI to DVI. That should be better. And then let's plug it back in, turn it back on, and see what she does this time. Definitely appears to be a video driver related problem. Took me right into the BIOS for some reason. Let's see. Onboard devices. We should turn onboard video off. Let's see the option for that. Advanced. Monitor. It's power management, don't care about that. High precision event timers turned on, that's good. Everything there looks good. See what happens. The fact that I'm getting video tells me the video card I plugged in is working. Why is it still just going? Did I unplug the hard drive? I bet you I did, didn't I? Yeah, that's why it's not booting. So I got to plug the SATA cable back in. Because remember, I wanted it to boot to MemTest 86. I disconnected the hard drive for that reason. So I'll plug the SATA cable back on to the hard drive. And we'll flip it back on. And it looks like the Dell laptop behind me wants to restart. Let's go ahead and do that now. Reboot and select proper boot device. Let's try that. That's better. Let's see if it gets to the desktop this time. Welcome in, everybody. We got almost 1,200 people watching. Why don't you give me a shout out? Tell me where you are watching me from. Glenn says he watches from New Jersey. Ganster is in the UK. Tony Wallow watches us from California. Malpantsu is in London. Pathos is in Canada. Oh, here they come. Scotland, UK, Fort Worth, Texas, Germany, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Liverpool, Chandler, Arizona, Connecticut, Chicago, Croatia, McGregor, Iowa, Sweden, Wisconsin, Oklahoma City, California, Birmingham, Alabama, Dublin, Ireland, Surrey in the UK, Nova Scotia, Texas, Florida, England, Georgia, Sweden, Southport, UK, South Africa, Denver, Colorado, San Francisco, Tucson, Arizona, London, Ohio, Cape Cod, Wycombe in the UK, Springfield, Missouri, Serbia, Ireland, Scotland, Texas, Florida, Kentucky, Ireland, South Africa, Edinburgh, Mount Vernon, Illinois, Utah, Rhode Island, Switzerland, Denmark, Auckland, New Zealand, Bergen, Norway, Sun City, Arizona, Meadville, Pennsylvania, Greece, a couple people watching from Greece, Glastonbury, Somerset in the UK, D-Ice watches us from Michigan, Stephen James is in Bristol in the UK, Sandhurst in the UK, Wesley says hello from Barbados, Brownstown, Michigan, Lisbon, Portugal, Ontario, Canada, Maine, Northampton, UK, Amsterdam in the Netherlands, Quebec, Rochester in the UK, Cornwall in the UK, Westlake, Ohio, Limerick, Bucharest, Romania, Calgary, Montana, Melbourne, Italy, Osage Beach, Missouri, London, Menifee, California, Halifax, Nova Scotia. Stephen Barber says he's watching from my home state of Michigan, London, Canada, Wyoming, Manchester, North Bergen, New Jersey, upstate New York, Pennsylvania, Long Island, New York, Memphis, Tennessee. Troy watches us from Australia. Craig, Colorado, North Carolina, Manchester, New Jersey, Lisbon, Portugal, Cornwall, Luton in the UK, Staffordshire, Sydney, Australia. Cool, cool. Brisbane, Australia. Thanks, you guys. It's always fascinating to see where people are watching from. It says it's 12:18 at night in the Netherlands right this moment. Ben watches us from Driftwood, Texas, and John Williams is in Oldbury in England. Darren Clue watches us from Oregon. Here we go. That's what I wanted. Click yes. Yes. Skip. Skip that for now. No. We're going to put in, let's see. Turn all that stuff off, hit accept. Ben says it is 6:20 p.m. in Louisville, Kentucky. It has a 3-hour time difference between you and I. Just 20 after 3 in the afternoon here in Phoenix. We're going to find out here in just a moment. I need the Windows 10 to fully load and complete. Then we can pull the graphics card back out and see if it'll still boot, just to see if we've got an onboard video issue here. But the card I put in there is practically valueless at this point. But there's our desktop. It has loaded correctly. Everything looks correct. And I think what I would like to do is plug it in to get excuse me, to get updates. Let's get Windows 10 fully updated before I go any further. So I'm going to grab my Ethernet cable. Yeah, I'm glad he ended up sending it to me, because this could have been a very long, drawn-out phone call for many days to what I can get done in 45 minutes, you know? There we go. So if anybody has any technical questions for me, I'd be happy to do my best to provide you an answer. And of course, other people in the chat room can also provide you answers as well. So while we're waiting for Windows 10 to download updates, and then the laptop behind me still installing 1803, and then when that's done, I have to go back and keep going to Windows updates. It'll eventually get 1809. That's going to take a while. %, on the laptop behind me. What USB Type-C add-on card would you recommend? There's no card I recommend. I recommend you upgrade your motherboard. But if you're going to buy a Type-C add-on card, read the reviews and let that guide you. I won't use them. What's your impression of the NVIDIA 2070 and 2080 video card? They're great if you need ray tracing. I think there's only 4 games on the market that use it. Otherwise, you're paying top dollar for a minor increase in performance. I think, like any other new technology, you should let it mature for a year before you even consider it, unless you get a really good price on it. You know, when you're a pioneer and you're paying top dollar for the latest technology, you'll also be one of the first ones to have the first problems. And the frustrations where Google is not going to help you because there's just not enough data collected yet. So, you know, to each their own. For me and my clients, we don't have time to play like that. So we want to use tried and true hardware. We don't want to experiment with any new hardware. I will do that on some builds here. If I'm building for myself, I'll use parts I don't normally use just because I don't have to be, you know, called in an emergency situation when it turns out there's a problem. But when I have to support my clients, I only sell them hardware I'm familiar with that I know and trust that will, you know, put the statistics in my favor that the customer's going to have a good experience and it isn't going to break my reputation. Gary wants to know, the Dell computer, what kind of video output does it have? It's got VGA and it's got 2 display ports, but you can always get an adapter from DisplayPort to whatever your monitor is that you get, or just get a VGA monitor, which are the cheapest. Crazy Vera says, thank you for repairing my desktop. It's working well without any problems at all. Right on. Love to hear that. Carl Curtins contributed €5. John Williams has contributed £2. Said, hey, Carey, I got my Go Faster stickers on my tower. Right on. Is VGA better than HDMI? VGA is the original sort of output for computers. It was supplanted and replaced with DVI, which was then supplanted and replaced by HDMI, which was then supplanted and replaced by DisplayPort. So if you want to use the oldest video output technology that's been with computers for about 30 years, VGA is the way to go. If you want to display copy-protected content from Blu-ray discs, you pretty much have to go with DisplayPort. If you want to play some copyrighted content on like some DVDs, you have to go HDMI. They won't. A lot of them won't play out correctly on VGA or DVI, depending on the copy protection that they're using. It interferes with it. They want full control of being able to prevent you from copying their movie, even though you just go online and download it. But whatever. Yeah. Tom Miller says, I got my Go Faster stickers in the mail today. My computer has never run faster or better. Well worth the investment. Right on, Tom. There's the video driver getting updated. Everything just got tiny. That's good. Orlando Breve has contributed $5. He says, great job. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Orlando. Oh, that's installing there. Okay. John Williams has contributed £3. He says, hey, Carey, thank you for your knowledge and help. Well, thanks for watching, John. I appreciate your viewing the videos and your contribution to the channel. Now we just have to watch grass grow with this install. I'm just going to wait. And behind me, Windows 10 is still updating. It's at 84% on the laptop right now. Griffith has contributed £5. He says, hey, Carey, here's a small contribution towards some chicken wings and cheese fries. Cheese on the side, of course. Cheers from Richard in the UK. Thank you, Richard. See, somebody's paying attention to the details. I like that. And Peter Vigil has contributed £5. Great to be catching up again from the UK. Very useful information, and thank you. Well, thank you, Peter. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel. That means a lot to me. It makes it possible for me to make more videos more often, as well as getting the computers and the SSDs and paying for the shipping and all the computer giveaways we've been doing here lately. Just about done with that cumulative update. Z Media has contributed $5. He says, I may have another M.2 to send you 500 gig. Do the veteran computers ever have support for M2, or do you use them for other stuff? The computers I've been getting lately do not have support for M2, but I do use them in like the Silverstone enclosures and things like that. And eventually we will get to some giveaways where those computers will have M2. So even if it doesn't get used now, it's just a matter of time before that technology starts coming in as off-lease. So any SSD you've got that you don't want, as long as it's 240 gig or larger, no matter the form factor, it can be used here for diagnostics, for giveaways, etc., etc. So we could definitely give it a second life. We've been stuck on 44% here for a while. Well, went up 1 percentage point. We went from 44% to 45%, so we just have to be patient and let that finish. Just jumped to 73%, 74%. We're getting there. We are getting there. Not exactly a rocket ship of a computer here. Let's see if we can go to the control panel and see what this thing is made of. Feels awfully slow. It's an i5 with 8 gigs of RAM. It should be much faster than this. And you do see Windows auto activated because we matched Windows 10 Home instead of Pro. If it was Pro, it would not have activated because that product key was not valid for anything other than Windows 7 Home. And Windows 10 Home it will work on for free. William Lynn has contributed $1.50. Thank you, William. Yeah, that's a big update. That cumulative update for Windows 10 is a big update. It can take a few minutes. I would be curious what the performance difference would be with an SSD. That's a brand new hard drive that's in there. Frederick Lundholm has just contributed 100 Swedish kroner. Thank you, Frederick. Here we go. We're moving now. 83%. 84. We're getting there. 85. 86. 87. So sporadic. 88. 89. The old man's contributed $10. He says, thank you for sharing your vast knowledge. My pleasure. Thanks for joining us here today. And thank you for supporting the channel. %, almost done with that update. There we go. Just jumped from 90% to 100%. And let's take a look. Oh, that wants a restart. Okay, that's fine. Now it's doing the cumulative update for the .NET framework. That'll take just a moment to install. We're already 43% into that one. John says, I sent a contribution of £3 via PayPal. Thank you for that. %75 done of that .NET Framework update. Getting there. There we go, 90%. We've got 1,111 people, just 1111. Is that 4? That means there's 4 people watching. Working on another cumulative update here, it looks like, for the .NET framework again. And William Lynn's contributed again, $1.51. Thank you, William. Okay, we should have one more install here, and then we can restart as soon as this last install is completed. How's this laptop doing behind me? Still updating. All right, I'll let that run. Gainsey95 has contributed 10 pounds. Thank you, Gainsey. Roy says hello from Virginia. Hello, Roy. Let's take a look here. This doesn't seem to be moving anymore. There it goes. Everything now says pending restart, so now we can go to restart now. Finally, we'll let that complete those updates during the shutdown process and then the power up process. Oh, we finished on the laptop, so let's go back here to Windows Update on the laptop and continue this process since we have finished the update to what I think is 1803. Go back to Windows Updates and check those. John Williams contributed 2 pounds. Smash up the old hard disk drive. It's a brand new hard disk drive. It's brand new. Nighthawk says, I just love my new computer, thanks. Right on, Nighthawk. Good to see you in the chat. Z Media has contributed $5. He says, do you go to the Renaissance Festival? I don't go very often. I hadn't gone in about 3 years, and I just went this last year. Ended up going twice. Wayne says, thanks for all your videos, Carey. You're very brave to do all you do in front of the world. I hope you don't find my comments offensive. I also donated another $20 to PayPal. Thank you, Wayne. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's really not a matter of being brave. You can do everything right. That doesn't stop people on the internet from telling you you're doing it wrong, or you're ugly, or you're fat. Whatever their particular insecurities are, they make sure to mirror those back onto you. You can learn a lot from people, about people, and what they think of themselves by the words they choose to describe you. But, you know, I've always said it's really none of my business what anybody thinks of me. And I recommend other people share that philosophy. If I get to a point where I start charging for videos and people are paying for them, all the meanness will go away, because the people who do that are only the people who get content for free. Those are not successful people in life, so therefore they don't have the money to spend. Jeremy Kramer's contributed $12, says, keep up the good work, Carey. Hope to add some ho-hos to the Coke. Ever thought of doing an Acronis for Beginners video? We already did. We've already done that. Begowden joined me from Acronis, and we walked through the installation of the software and how to basically use it in its very simplest form. And he'll be joining me very soon as we explore individual features of the Acronis software, click by click, step by step. So if any of those features sound appealing to you, you don't have to have any special knowledge other than following along with what we do on the video. Go to Windows Update. Let's check for some more updates. Should be pretty close to done on there. I think we're all caught up. I think that's all the updates. Yep. So, okay, now we've got Windows 10 fully updated, and we know that it works properly. So I'm going to go ahead and shut it down, and now I'm going to remove the graphics card, go back to onboard video, because the onboard video is still activated, and it did download the Intel driver for that, which should be the same Intel video that's always been installed on the CPUs. So let me go ahead and remove the graphics card, which is why I didn't screw it down or anything. I'm just going to pull the power plug, and let's remove this graphics card from here. And we'll just set it down over here. I'll grab the HDMI cable, remove the adapter, plug it back in here. Flip the switch back on, and let's turn it back on and see what happens. Yeah, just get a black screen. Oh, wait a minute. It's doing something. Oh, this is promising. Catherine wants to know if this is a customer's PC or a donation machine. This is a customer's PC. It's not real important to them. It's just something they play with. They have another computer that they use that's much newer than this, but they just wanted it up and running for something to play with. Now it should update that video driver, so the screen should get smaller, and it did. Let's run the Uncle Carey's Windows 10 optimizer. So all this is a tool that I had created for me by the good folks over at D7X Tech. Nick over there took care of me and told him what I needed the application to do, because I was doing all this stuff by hand. There it is, Uncle Carey's Windows 10 optimizer. And we offer it for sale for $10. The link to it is in the video notes below the video. This is not doing anything you couldn't do by hand, but it just does it all very, very quickly. So if you work on a lot of computers, this can handle all of the optimizations I do to Windows 10, which are all selected here by default. And then I hit apply, and now I just have to wait a moment, and it's going to tune Windows 10 for me the way I like it. There we go. We need to restart for the changes to take effect. And the laptop behind me is ready to restart. So we'll go ahead and restart that now as well. Carey, you do put yourself under pressure live and always come through. Big respect to you, as I don't know any other YouTubers that do this. Well, it's no different than what I do in front of customers all day that I've done for nearly 30 years. It's really, what difference does it make if it's one customer watching me or 1,000 or 1,100? It's the work I have to do is still the same, and I won't walk away from a job until that job is complete. You know, even if it means I got to take the computer back with me to the shop, I'll do what I got to do. But generally speaking, every problem can be fixed. Just a matter of time, patience, and with enough experience, you sort of see the same stuff over and over again anyway. One of the things that drives me crazy with the Intel graphics driver are the hotkeys. Why these are enabled by default, people at Engineer need to be, the engineers over at Intel seriously need to be taken out and shown the frustrations of people that hit the wrong key combination with the hotkey and it causes the screen to rotate. It'll go sideways or upside down, and they don't know what they did. They're completely unaware that they hit that key combination. They'll swear they didn't do it. And for anybody that would use hotkeys, then they should know how to turn the hotkeys on. It should not be the other way around. Hotkeys should not be enabled by default. Shame on Intel. Shame on Intel for doing that. It really screws over the majority of their customers who are absolutely baffled when their screen goes sideways. And Intel is basically got gatekeepers where they don't even hear the complaints. They're deaf and dumb to it, which is really, really frustrating as a technician to have to fix what their engineers or department managers have decided as default values. That is not realistic in the real world for their real end users. But maybe if I say it often enough, they'll do something about it. I'm not going to hold my breath. Let's take a look at what that new hard drive is doing performance-wise. It doesn't appear to be a very fast hard drive. Very much would like to see Gene get into an SSD, but he just literally bought this drive. Let's take a look. Let's grab Crystal Disk Mark and Crystal Disk Info. Let's take a look at the status of the drive first. Status is good. It's a Seagate 2 terabyte drive. It's all normal. You'll see it's only been powered on a few times, and less than 3 days of usage is on the drive. So it's brand new. See what kind of performance numbers we get out of it. Try not to laugh. Those are actually decent numbers on that hard drive. Moving at 200 megabytes a second is not terrible. Rich wants me to put the Wi-Fi card back in to see if it'll still boot. Yeah, we'll do that in a minute, Rich. James says, I just watched the video of you building a PC with your dad. It was great. Hope he's doing better. Thank you. Yeah, it's still a video I have to finish. I've got some footage that just didn't turn out very well, and I haven't quite been able to be creative enough to figure out how to fix it. It's not like I can go back and reshoot it. What's done is done. What hard drive speed is considered terrible? I'd say anything at 160 or below is pretty bad. I've seen it as low as 70 or 80 megabytes, which is painful. You'll see that a lot on 5400 spin RPM hard drive or laptop drive. They're painfully slow. When you get up into 200, you're reaching the maximum that a hard drive can actually transfer. You could maybe hit 260 on a real expensive big hard drive. I'm trying to think if you can even hit 280. But with a solid state drive, you max out the SATA port at 550, 560, and then that's it. That's all the technology can push through anyway. And of course, the other numbers with regards to these other tests are pathetically slow. Very, very slow. Let's see what our write speed looks like. Should match. With a hard drive, your writes and your reads should be about the same. With an SSD, typically your writes are slower, but it depends on the technology of the SSD. Yeah, so 206 on the reads, 170.8, close enough to 171 on the writes. Yeah, I mean, for a hard disk drive, that's pretty decent. But he would benefit greatly from a solid state drive. Can the Samsung Magician software be used on any solid state drive? Only if it's made by Samsung. What would be in it for Samsung to do that? Nothing. They want you to buy their drive because their drive is the only one that works with their software. Think about it. If their software could work with any drive, why would you buy their drive? So this looks like our final numbers right here. This is what we're looking at. And of course, an SSD will just wipe the floor with this. It won't even be comparable. So basically, I'm mostly interested in the top numbers, the 206 and the 170. That's usually what I'm looking at to determine performance. And that's all I need to know from that. Let's shut it off, put the Wi-Fi card back in, and let's see if it boots. So we'll shut it down one last time. And then I want to go back to this laptop and check for updates again, since it's restarted as well. With the machine off, I'm going to hit the power switch to cut power. Never work on the machine with power in it. Let's get rid of that flash drive, and let's grab the Wi-Fi card and slap it back in there. See if that has any impact at all on whether or not we can boot. Here we go. And this is telling me I have the latest Windows updates, even though I don't have the latest version of Windows. I think it just put on 1803. Yeah, didn't give me 1809. I wonder why. Work with that later. Actually, I can do it right now. I'll just use my 1809. Windows Update doesn't want to offer it. I'll offer it myself. I'm feeling more generous than Windows Update. Seems to have loaded okay. Well, I think that about wraps up this video. Everything's running. Bob the Bomb has contributed 10 pounds and says, Carey, thanks to your channel, I discovered that my laptop has an SSD upgrade slot. Many thanks. Well, usually you just replace your hard drive with a solid-state drive. So in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and put Windows 10 1809 on that off of the same flash drive I just used here on this desktop. And that's why I have flash drives with software on them, because I do this every day, all the time, versus, you know, somebody at home that does it once every few months or whatever. In the meantime, let me say thank you to everybody who's been tuned in and who's contributed today. So Bob the Bomb, Jeremy Kramer, Z Media, John Williams, Gainsey95, William Lynn, The Old Man, Frederick Lundholm, John Yasuda, Peter Vidgen, Griffith, John Williams, Orlando Breve, Carl Curtin, HVAC A to Z, contributed $1.99 and says, have another Coke, Carey. Lurchicus, Scott Hallinan, he says, hi, Carey, here's some money for the channel. Love the shirt. Looks awesome. Thanks, Scott. Jesse Kirk says he has a 2004 Ford Mustang, and I'll drive it till the wheels fall off. It's paid for, and I have around 250,000 miles on it. Nice. I hope I can get that many miles out of my car. Just 200,000 more is all I need. Let's see. Fred Adams says, did you get my email? I have no idea, Fred. I would have to check. John Yasuda contributed again. Colin Hunt, Greg Hearn, Russ Martin, 2525, Newcomer 8771, RJ Rick, Alan Maybrier, Colin Hunt, Glenn H, Rudiger Luthi, and Magnum. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. I appreciate that very much. It's because of you I can do more of these videos more often. I think that's going to wrap it up for today. I've got a couple other things I need to get done. I've got a meeting with somebody later, and I got to talk to Gene on this computer about twisting his arm and letting me use a Cronus to clone this over to an SSD, see if he'll let me do it. But in the meantime, no big deal. 1809 is going up here on Windows 10. and everything's just running like it's supposed to. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for everybody who's participated in the chat. Thank you to all my friends in blue. And I will see you all again probably on Monday. I don't think I will have any time this weekend, although sometimes the weekend opens up, but I've been busy every single day this week. I really need some time off, but you never know. In the meantime, should at least be Monday. I will have some videos, some quick tips videos coming out over the weekend that Linda has worked on. So I hope you guys will enjoy those when I'm not live. That's going to wrap it up for me. For now, I'll see you all again very, very soon. Until then, bye for now.